Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Stalker25, and earlier in the week, I put out a video about Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Probably the title was something along the lines of everything I disliked about Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, or all the negatives or complaints, something like that I had. But today I'm going to be talking about the positives of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet in my kind of review critique-ish video that I have here, where I'm kind of just rambling, putting my thoughts out there into the internet, which sometimes can be a good or a bad thing depending on how people agree with you. But alright, let's get into it. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet were, in my opinion, messy games, and I think these games were messy in some regards, but also very good in the other regards. I'm gonna kind of use the phrasing here of I think Scarlet and Violet for Pokemon is like their ultimate low and their ultimate high in terms of Pokemon. Like, there are a lot of bad things about the game, which I state in the video, or complaints that I have, and there are a lot of really good things. And this video will potentially have spoilers in it, so if you haven't beaten the game already and you don't want to be spoiled, now is your chance to click off and you can come back at some other point in time to continue watching the video or whatever, see what I think about it. So, with that all being said, really quick, I would always appreciate it if you guys would leave me a like down below, as well as subscribe if you're new and haven't done so already. It does help me out a lot and I do greatly appreciate it. But alright, let's get into it. One of the big things about this game, and you're going to be hearing it right now throughout the video, is the music in this game is phenomenal. This game has so much, emotion-provoking music. You're going to hear some of it throughout here. This is just like about 7 of my favorite tracks throughout the entire game. But I really do like the music. I think it's really good. And now the music does tie into one of the big spoiler parts we're going to talk about here. A little bit spoilery, but the story in the game is really good, like, for a lot of aspects. Now, the story is 3 parts. You have Path of Legends, you have the Victory Road, and then you have the Operation Starfall Team Star story. I think Team Star's story was a little bit predictable in a lot of regards. I've seen a lot of things coming for that story. There weren't really many things that surprised me there. But overall, I didn't think it was horrible, but I didn't overly like it. Now, Nimona, her storyline and Victory Road was another one that was pretty good. I actually like Nimona. Nimona is she's a fun and kind of realistic rival slash friend slash mentor, in my opinion. I've seen a lot of people complain about Nimona, and some people say, you only like her because she's a cute girl or whatever, something like that. And for me, that's not the case. I just think she hits all the beats that Hop and How didn't for me with Sword and Shield and with Sun and Moon. So I think she's a fun rival, and it kind of the ending of the game with her with the Victory Road story was very I don't know, you kind of see it coming, and she does feel like more of a friend to you instead of a rival, but also feels like a rival. And now the big one I want to get on here, and I've kind of saved this one to the very end because it is the most spoilery one, is Arven. Arven's story in the Path of Legends is one of the saddest stories out of any Pokemon game that I recall playing. The only other characters that come close to him that I can think of is N. And there's another one I talked about with a friend the other day, that they're a pretty sad character as well, but I just can't remember them off the top of my head. You can kind of say Lily and Gladion are a little sad as well in Sun and Moon, but I can't really think of the other one off the top of my head right now. But Arven is very sad. Depending on what game you play, I played Violet, but I'm also playing Scarlet right now. Arven has a troubled history with his parents, and a troubled history with Miraidon or Koraidon. And, also, he's got a very sick and elderly, kind of dying, Mabostiff. And as a person who, in the past couple years, has lost 2 of their furry companions and friends, I related very heavily to that, and it made me very sad. And I would not be lying. I'd be lying if I said I didn't almost tear up a little bit during those parts. It was a very sad story, and I think a lot of people are going to relate really heavily to Arven, whether it be the dog storyline or the parent storyline, and I think they wrote him in very well. I think the only complaint I have with Arven is the end of the game with him. He's just kind of okay with everything that's happened. That boy needs therapy, and a lot of it. So I think that's my only complaint with him. Now, let's talk about a little bit about Koraidon and Miraidon. I really like them. The personality they have, it reminds me of like Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon, and I really like that you get them right off the beginning. I think they were done really well. You don't get them as actual Pokemon until the end of the game, which I think is cool, that you spend your whole journey with them, so you at least bond with them. You see personality and characteristic with them. I loved Miraidon. I thought Miraidon was like the most adorable like puppers dragon ever. And I think it's going to create a problem for the next game, though, because now what do you do when your ride feature was your legendary? Do you create all your future legendaries as motorcycles? I don't think that's going to work very well. So yeah, I think they'll have to figure out something. Personally, I would like if we just use our own Pokemon, but the legendaries were done really well, and I like the storyline with them a lot. There's basically a standoff with the legendaries, kind of, in some regards. I won't spoil it too much because I do want you to see that yourself, because I really liked what they did with them. Alright, let's talk about the new Pokemon textures really quick. I think this is a huge plus. Pokemon look better than ever for a lot of them in the game. Now, it really sucks when their models don't load properly when you enter a battle, because you don't get to see that brand new, really cool texturing that they've done. Pokemon have metallic textures, they have rocky textures, they have scales, they have fur, they have, like, you know, hair if you want to count that differently than fur or whatever. There are a lot of different texture styles in the game, so there's just slight, like, bumpiness where they kind of just, like, change it. Muck and Grimer have their own separate, like, different, like, sludgy texture. They don't look rubbery or plastic anymore now, and I love that. Almost all Pokemon look like they belong in the world, and I'm going to show pictures of several Pokemon throughout this, and one of my favorite is Ursaring. Ursaring and Camerupt look so dang good, and I love it, and I love what they've done with the texturing, and I want to see more Pokemon added to the game. I did a previous video where I talked about all the Pokemon from past generations that did not make it into Scarlet and Violet, and I left my 15 most wanted families of Pokemon that I would like to see, or kind of some of my most wanted that I would like to come into Scarlet and Violet, whether that be through DLC or just transfer of some means. Another big positive of this game is the free roaming and the multiplayer. The multiplayer is awesome. Being able to roam around the region with your friends is really cool. It is a little laggy, which is kind of a con, but being able to just be in world with your friends is really cool, and I really enjoy it, and it gives the game a different feel if you play it off the bat in multiplayer, I'm assuming. I did not play it in multiplayer right off the bat. I've dabbled in it here or there with friends, which I think is really fun. But the free roaming aspect, just being able to get out the gates and just go wherever you want before starting a gym, do anything, you don't get, like, tied up. The only kind of, like, restraint you have is if you get near a Team Star base, they're gonna be like, hey, there's a Team Star thing here, you should check that out, or like, hey, there's a Titan here, you should be careful, or we should check that out, type of thing. They kind of like pull you away for a second, bring you out of roaming, but then you could just kind of ignore that and do what you want. Now, I say this in my cons video, and I think some of the Pokemon designs in this region are really bad. Personally, I think, in my personal opinion, I think this is one of the weakest generations we've ever had for Pokemon designs. And I kind of stand by that as my thought and statement. But there are a lot of really good designs in this generation as well. And this is more of a thing one of my friends wanted on here. This is one of their opinions, was they thought the Pokemon designs this generation were really good. And that's where opinions differ. So this is a little bit more of theirs, but I do have a lot of designs that I really like, and I'm going to do my own separate video talking about like 10 of my most liked designs of the Pokemon, like of the new Pokemon. So if you want to check that out, it's somewhere, possibly, you know, link in the description, or there'll be a card popping up maybe. But alright, let's talk about, this kind of ties back into the story and the Victory Road portion, but in my opinion, the gym leaders in this game are done pretty well. None of them are really difficult, so it's not like it's going to be a hard thing going through them. At least I didn't have trouble with them, but I was also over-leveled for a lot of them as well. But they feel, my whole point of them is saying that the gym leaders actually feel like proper, real people now. You see, you learn more about them going throughout the games. You kind of see a little bit of like what their everyday job is and what they do outside of being a gym leader. They don't just stand in a gym and do nothing all day, which I really like how they handled the gym leaders this generation. Now, another big positive of this game is the Pokemon variety in the early game. This was a lot of my friends' thoughts is that this was a pro. I do have one friend, his name's Andrew, Andy B Plays. He is over on YouTube as well, does a lot of cool videos. You should check him out if you haven't done so already. But he thought this was a con, and I personally disagree. I think it is a very big positive with the amount of Pokemon early game that you have in the game that you can pick from, because you could build a ton of different teams in this game right off the first couple routes. You have some of the most variety we've ever seen in a Pokemon game. And with the ability to free roam, you could just wander wherever you want and capture what you want, which really kind of sets you up for almost any team possible in a way, which is really awesome. And something we haven't seen before, and I like it. I have a couple other ideas for videos I want to do with this game, and the variety in the other game really ties into a few of them. Alright, so another big pro that we get back from Legends Arceus is the mass outbreaks have returned, and they're bigger now and different. Mass outbreaks, I think, go up to around 100 plus Pokemon that you get in a singular outbreak, and you do get bonuses of shiny rates when you knock out 30 and 60 Pokemon respectively in those two in an outbreak. So if you knock out, let's say you have a Scyther outbreak and you knock out 60 Scythers, your shiny rates significantly come down, and you get to have a higher chance of the shiny without needing a shiny charm or the sandwich mechanic for shiny hunting, which is awesome. And it's just really cool to have them back. Mass outbreaks are also a great way for trying to EV train your Pokemon. If you just look up what EV that Pokemon yields, you could EV train a whole bunch of Pokemon if you don't want to do the auto Let's Go feature battle, and you just want to battle them manually. Now, since we mentioned shinies in this game, in my opinion, this is a big pro. They are possibly the easiest we've ever had the ability to get them if you use the mechanics to get them. And a lot of people are trying to gatekeep shinies with the Pokemon community as of the last couple generations. And I think that's personally wrong, and they should kind of stop it, because who cares how anyone gets their shinies? Yes, they're supposed to be rare, but they're just a color palette. And in my personal opinion, the shinies of this, in this generation, aren't really that good for a lot of the new Pokemon anyways, and a lot of old Pokemon have bad shinies too, which I think can be fixed if Game Freak decided to create multiple shiny palettes for Pokemon. Maybe each Pokemon had 2 or 3 different styles of shinies where their colors could just kind of change depending on a different grouping. I think they could do that, at least with a second shiny, so there's the base shiny and then maybe an even more rare version of a shiny, or there's just a couple that you could get. I think that'd be a little bit nicer, but shinies are as easy as they've ever been with the option of max raid battles, or not max raid battles, the mass outbreaks, and you have the new sandwich shiny hunting mechanics that you could do, and picnic resetting, which is another really nice thing. So shinies are really awesome and really easy to get now, especially with all overworld encounters. You see everything spawning, so you have the chance to see everything. But there's a nice big old con to this thing too, which I talk about in my cons video, is the removal of the shiny sounds. But you could go check that and see my thoughts and opinions in that video. Alright, another big pro is the Terra raid battle difficulty. I think 4-star Terra raids are level 45, 5 stars are 75, and it's also 75 or a little bit higher for 6-star raids. I haven't done a 6-star raid yet, but 5-star raids are difficult. If you go in unprepared, not knowing type matchups, you are going to get destroyed. But the rewards for these raids are pretty nice. So I think they've done a plus here in the raid department compared to Sword and Shield. Dynamax raids really didn't feel a lot of time that rewarding, and they didn't really feel that fun to do. In my opinion, raids now have a little bit of problems being a little laggy and a little slow, and sometimes it feels like it's just not letting you do moves or pick moves because how all the animations and turn takings are going. But overall, I think the raids are definitely a push in the right direction for what they should be going forward. Alright, trainer battles in the wild are optional, and that is awesome. I think they should give a little bit more money, because I feel like their money, given isn't very good, and they should be a little harder to make it more rewarding to actually battle them, because each of the Pokemon centers usually has a dude there that if you talk to him, he'll be like, hey, go battle 5 or 6 or however many people in this area, and if you do, you'll come back to me and get a reward. A lot of times the rewards aren't that rewarding, except the amulet coin at the normal gym town. That is the biggest thing I could tell you to go get if you're struggling with money in the game. You gotta go fight 5 people on the opposite side of town from him in the wild area, and then come back and talk to him. but it's really beneficial and you should go pick that up. But either way though, optional trainer battles are really cool. I personally did the 5 for the amulet coin and maybe a couple right off the start and a couple after I got the amulet coin for money, but that was it. I haven't really done wild or trainer battles after that. I mostly did my battling and training in the wild, and I think that's awesome that you don't have to worry about trainer battles constantly slowing down your progression through the game. Now, another awesome thing is the ability to access the move relearning and move, not tutor, but move relearning and boxes anywhere in the game. I think like getting it right out the gate and being able to access moves wherever is awesome. And on top of that, you also get the ability to just access your box like right off the start, which is super cool. So if you don't want to use your starter, you can immediately put them away after you capture your first Pokemon, and you don't have to bring them back out, which is awesome that you could just have these like accessibility features right off the get-go. Another really cool thing is you could just rename your Pokemon whenever, wherever. It's just, you just go into your summary and it just says rename, which is really cool, and I really like that. Alright, now another nice little feature, this is for all you trading people out there that like to trade a lot, or you like to do like the touch trading with the decks to like complete your decks. If you're trading with a new player in the game, and you see something they don't like, if you're trading, you'll notice now a Pokemon will start like bouncing and lighting up. That means your trade partner does not have that Pokemon registered in their Pokedex. So if you're ever trying to help out a buddy or something like that and they're new to the game, you could see what they have and you don't have to constantly like have them check something or make a checklist. You could just see it bouncing in your box and you could be like, oh hey man, you don't have this, let me trade this to you. Which I think is really cool, and that's like a nice like quality of life feature that this game really added. Another really good thing that this game has is the ability to EV train, well not EV train, but I guess competitive build Pokemon. You could just go to Delibird Presents in the Chansey Supply Store and you can buy everything, pretty much. You could buy, I don't know if you could buy ability capsules personally, haven't really paid attention to that, but you could buy bottle caps, you could buy all the EV training bands, you could buy vitamins. Vitamins still, you could max out your EVs with vitamins if you just want to train that way and you're just rich and you want to use money. Or if you're a little bit more broke like me in the game and you want to just spend the time to knock out wild Pokemon, you could buy the EV items instead and not an EV train that way. So I think it's really cool, and it's kind of the easiest it's ever been to competitively build your Pokemon teams. And this is kind of the last pro that I could think of and that I have off the top of my head, but the Pokedex pages in this game. The Pokedex is really cool. You have like a new kind of almost battle pass style thing based on the number of Pokemon you get, where they just give you more rewards each time, which are usually Pokeballs, XP candy, stuff like that, which is really cool. It helps you like progress your Pokedex faster with giving those rewards. I wish they were a little more rewarding and they were a little bit more something like that, but I really like the Dex pages specifically. When a Pokemon pops up when you capture it for the first time, it will pop up with this really cool splash art or background that they give you where it shows the Pokemon in the environment, or possibly the pre-evolution, or interacting with another evolution. And I really like that about the game, and I think that's really cool. Other than that though, I really can't think of any other pros or cons I have with the game. This wasn't really a scripted video, this was just kind of like I had a little list here in front of me and I just read it off. So if you agree with any of these pros about the game, let me know in the comments below. What did you think about these games? Personally, like I said, I think they have their problems in the performance department. But overall, I had a really good time playing through these games. I don't know if I had personally as much fun as Legends Arceus, because I really did enjoy those games in terms of like the gameplay and going through it. But I think this game is pretty good. And this is a statement that I don't like, and I don't know if I said it in this video or in the cons video, but I am really tired of this phrase, this is great groundwork, or I can't wait to see what's, Pokemon does moving forward type of thing. Because I want Pokemon to actually release that solid, like, knock it out of the park game right off the get-go. Like, I don't want to have to wait till DLC comes around or like a patch comes around to fix these things. I just want them to get it right off the bat. And I think that's a lot of problems with a lot of modern games in general anymore, is we have that like exception, like a lot of people have that expectation and exception of, well, a game comes out and it's buggy and you shouldn't be mad about that. And I think we should. We're paying the money for it, we're forking out the time and effort to pay for these products, and we should get the best that we possibly could, like we used to for a lot of things. But other than that, these games were a blast. The story was very like touching, and I really did enjoy it. And I personally can't wait to see what they bring us in the DLC, because I'm expecting possibly something big, and I have a lot of thoughts and theories and stuff like that of what I want to see. But let me know in the comments below what you thought about this video, what you thought about the game, and like I said, if you haven't done so already, would always appreciate a like as well as a subscribe. It does help me out a lot. I do greatly appreciate it, and I'm trying to revive the channel. You know, it's been a while. I haven't done a lot on here in recent years, but I do appreciate all the feedback, comments on the videos, likes on the videos that you guys have been giving me so far already, for anyone that has been. So thank you guys so much, and you know, I'll catch you all in the next one. So, see you guys. Bye.